Have you been hoping that the pastor would finally address your burning theological question, only to be disappointed that it wasn't addressed during the sermon yet again? Well, now's your chance to ask the pastor that question. Questions like, can I trust the Bible? Why aren't my prayers being answered? Or, why do bad things happen to good people? Maybe you've been at the circus and wondered, why aren't dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible? Or perhaps you were working out and asked your partner, did those miracles really happen? Or maybe you're just wondering if Jesus likes football or baseball better. Maybe Junior wants to know, do dogs go to heaven? Whatever your question may be, nothing is too deep, nothing is too shallow for our pastors to answer. Email me, Pastor Chris, along with Pastor Jeff, your question, and it could be answered during one of our upcoming devotional videos beginning June 29th. Space is limited, don't wait. Submit your questions now.
Hello, my name's Jeff Raffauf, and I'm one of the pastors at West Lawn United Methodist Church. It's been my joy, along with Pastor Chris Hardy, to bring you these daily connection videos. Actually, since March 16th, we've been doing this 6 days a week, and we hope these have been encouraging to you, enlightening, perhaps entertaining, and we hope inspiring. As we've been trying to keep this connection between believers and folks during this quarantine, we've done a number of things, and most recently, we invited you to ask questions of us and allow us to try to offer an answer. So we've been doing that, and as we get started, I must confess it's Tuesday night, and this video is for Wednesday, and so Chris has discovered that sometimes I'm a procrastinator, and here I am on Tuesday night offering this video, but Chris, I will do better in the future, and to each of you, thank you for tuning in. Also want to apologize for the hair. This is my quarantine hair look. It stays out of my eyes because I've been wearing a lot of hats lately. You may not see me in hats often, but there's a reason for that as well. Anyway, I've discovered that if I wear hats, it keeps it out of my head, out of my eyes, but it's on my head. It keeps it out of my eyes, but my wife says when I wear a hat, it makes it flare out all the more. So we're just going to forget that. You're going to have to live with it for one more video because tomorrow, Wednesday, July 1st, I get my first haircut since February. So by the next time you see me in one of these videos, or if you worship with us in the sanctuary on July 5th, or if you simply tune in for worship on the live stream or through our YouTube channel, you will see that the hair will be shorter. I may even be a little lighter because of it. But now on to the questions that have been put to us. The second question that was given to me was, why did God wipe out every living thing off the earth when he charged Noah with saving 2 of each? Was it that bad that he needed to start over? Good question. Was it that bad? And did he need to start over? Well, let me just say to you first, don't discount the flood narrative. Don't just write it off as some little fairy tale, some little story. It is entertaining, and it does have a certain appeal to children. In fact, back in, I won't say what year, but when I was in 3rd grade, and the West Lawn Church the Sunday school presented me with a Bible, I took that Bible home and I was so excited. I love maps. I looked at all the pictures. I looked at the maps in the back, and then I started to read. And I remember early on how you get to the flood story. And I read it over and over and over again. You might be interested to know, however, that there is a flood narrative or a story about a catastrophic flood, a cataclysmic flood, in each of the major religions that have their roots in that part of the world, in the Middle East. So let's not discount it completely. There clearly was something that happened. And as the Hebrew people have recorded their understanding of the story, God looked down on us, you and me, on humanity, looked at us and said, this is bad. In fact, this is the way he puts it in Genesis chapter 6, verses 5 through 8. This is the New International Version. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. Only evil all the time. Verse 6. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. Verse 7. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. Verse 8. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. So, as we look at the question, was it really that bad? Yeah, apparently it was. Now, that's a little hard for us to wrap our head around, because sometimes we look around and things are pretty bad. Sometimes I have just avoided at times watching the news, not wanting to bury my head in the sand, but sometimes it is just so negative. The left yelling at the right yelling at the left, the president calling people names, acting like a bully on a playground, and the other side not being much better at it. Sometimes listening to the numbers about the coronavirus, and then the racial strife that has torn our society apart at the very seams. It's tough. It's tough being quarantined. It's tough being told to stay at home. It's really tough for those who are on the edge, for those who are told to stay at home when they have no home, or for those who are told that we are under a stay-at-home order when home for them might be a place of abuse or neglect. This has been a hard time for a lot of people. A hard time for 30 million people out of jobs. This has been a hard time for the politicians and the government leaders and for the church. And we might look around and say, man, it might be time for a reset, but no, it's not. Because what we still see is that God has seen and God sees, God hears our prayers. We're going to talk about this on Sunday, July 5th. God hears our prayers if we would seek his face, turn from evil and seek his face. God will hear our prayers and heal our land. You see, God hears the prayers of the righteous. God hears the prayers of those who come seeking him and of those who love him. God hears those prayers, and just as he was fed up, and God is pictured in very human terms several times in the Old Testament, where Abraham and others bartered with God, where God rethinks something, and we see it in Genesis chapter 6. God's fed up. He regrets having created all that he did. But then he sees Noah, and he's reminded of the Garden of Eden. He's reminded of man and woman, of humanity, created in the image of God, created to have relationship with God. And so God decides that human race will not be destroyed, but all of the evil in the world will. And so he picks the one man and his family who have turned to the Lord, and he chooses Noah to be that vessel, no pun intended, to build an ark which will be the vessel through which redemption will come. And so we have the story of Noah, the whole earth full of evil. God had to wipe it out, hit the reset button, but chose to redeem us by keeping Noah, and two of each kind, so that they might repopulate the earth, so that they might know and love the Lord. And of course, don't forget, at the end of all of this, God creates a new covenant, a covenant with Noah and to all humanity that would come afterwards, that he would never do this again. And of course, we have the rainbow in the sky as the sign of God's promise. Friends, God makes many promises to us, and one of them is that he will be with us always to the very end of the age. Don't forget, no matter how evil things may seem, no matter how bad things may get, no matter how tough your life may feel right now, God has not forgotten you or forsaken you. He will be with you always. And may that be an encouragement to you. May God be with you till we meet again.
Alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song, this cornerstone, this solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are stilled, when striving cease. My comforter, my all in all, here in the love of Christ I stand. In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God in helpless babe, this gift of love and righteousness, scorned by the ones he came to save, till on that cross as Jesus died, the wrath of God was satisfied, for every sin on him was laid. Here in the death of Christ I live. There in the ground his body lay, light of the world by darkness slain, then bursting forth in glorious day,